Mr. Mocky coming at you live and direct once again on a beautiful Friday. Just wanted to piggyback on the video that I did yesterday about the kneeling and the NFL's new stance on protesting during games or making statements during games, basically. Before we start, I want to wish everybody a very safe, sane, and sober holiday weekend. Please be safe out there this weekend. So I was doing a lot of thinking yesterday about this, and I'm trying to put the puzzle together, trying to kind of put the pieces together, kind of trying to read the script. So one thing that I've really been working on is how to read the script. We talk about utilizing gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words. But how do you read that? Because there's got to be a way you read it. So I've really been working on, okay, if I see something, let me really work on reading it. So then I can really begin to understand how this information is passed and how this code works. So there's a lot that I'm thinking about with this story. And one thing I continue to go back to is this whole thing with the XFL. Whole thing with the XFL and Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon just signing a major deal with Fox for WWE programming. And why is the NFL so quick to... It's kind of like they're creating a script to sabotage the league, because you know this is not going to stand well with fans. It's not going to stand well with players, and we could be in the midst of a player's walkout for next season, which would cripple the NFL. If you had a player's walkout next season, that would cripple the NFL, because remember now, they got a lot of money on the table this year with games overseas and streaming deals. So if you see a major walkout in the first few weeks of the NFL in order to rectify the situation, that's going to be billions of revenue loss for the NFL, which would cripple the NFL. Is this the entirety of the script? And is there something that we don't know already? Is the NFL in over his head? Has the NFL been in over his head for several years now, and things just have not been spoke about? Remember now, the NFL pretty much is the flagship for ownership. The owners can be all right. The owners can go to the XFL. The owners will have no problem just moving their teams into the XFL, away from the NFL, if the NFL is struggling to kind of stay together. So the question is, what's really going on with the NFL? What's really going on with the management at the NFL? Are we close to the end of the NFL? Now, I know a lot of people say, man, you crazy. But, you know, part of my thing is conspiracies. I love conspiracies. But just think about it. You had Vince McMahon just this week, just over the last 2 weeks. And last week, he signs this major deal with Fox for WWE programming. We know the XFL will be back. I think it's 2020, 21. I got to do the research to get the solid date. But they already have a solid date and start time. Now we see the sabotage of the league. Because remember, nobody was really talking about the kneeling anymore. I mean, it was really a moot point at the end of the season. I mean, it really wasn't a big deal. Kaepernick was still around, pro-black, as I call him. But outside of that, the kneeling thing had really became a moot point. Then suddenly now, the league brings it back up like they want to keep the story going. As if to say they want the viewers to focus on this story right in the midst of the XFL restarting. So I won't be surprised inside of the script if we see a player's walk out. If we see NFL players walk out. Now, you might say, well, these guys get paid. Why would they walk out? Maybe the NFL is in trouble. Maybe the NFL's been in trouble. Maybe the NFL, as far as the offices, have been in trouble for a while. And maybe it's time for new management to come in, and that new management may come in the form of the XFL. We don't know. This is just my speculation. This is just my assumption. Call me and ask if I'm wrong. But let's just really pay attention to how this thing with the XFL and NFL goes. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. But right now, I'm really getting the suspicion that all's not well in the NFL world. I had a suspicion either they got some money issues, they got something going on. Remember, they've shelled out a lot of money over the past 3-4 years trying to keep up. Had they kind of hurt themselves financially? You know, when these folks have financial problems, they're not like you and I come out and get on YouTube sometimes say, hey, I'm broke, or I'm on hard times. They're not gonna do that. But let's say they really get into some financial burden where Vince McMahon is able to buy up the NFL and he takes ownership. Hey, major deals have been signed. Something is going on in the NFL world for them to sabotage, and this is what this is. This is like sabotaging your own product, knowing that you set up a situation that you're bound to take a major hit from. And don't be surprised if you see a full-scale players walkout in the script. And those first few weeks with everything that's going on would cripple the NFL financially. Mr. Motley, Back Row Ministry, peace and hair grease.